Well, that was local community in Sanford, Florida, who is outraged about the Trayvon Martin case, as we all are, and they were chanting justice for Trayvon. Now, we've told you about this story before. George Zimmerman, a 28-year-old who outweighed Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old, by over 100 pounds and had a gun on him, went up to Trayvon Martin, started a conflict, and then wound up shooting the teenager. And what is most outrageous is that the police have not arrested Zimmerman in over 3 weeks. Well, now we hear the 911 tapes, and they don't do Zimmerman any favors. It unfortunately confirms what we thought about Zimmerman. Let's listen to the first part here.
This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. They always get away.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Two huge parts of that. One, they always get away. Gee, I wonder what that means. And then second of all, they're like, don't follow him. And he's like, okay. And then he goes and runs after them. He later in his apparently in his self-defense argument, which we don't really know because the cops never arrested him, just took his word for it, said that, you know, that he was apparently in so much danger that he had to shoot the kid. Well, you might not have been in danger if you hadn't run after him. And you hear it on the 911 tapes. Now, in the second part here, there's going to be a scream at the beginning. It's really uncomfortable to listen to, but it definitely sheds light on what happened. Let's listen to
that. There's gunshot.
Wrestling right in the back of my porch. So the guy's yelling help. I'm pretty sure the guy's dead out here. Holy
A guy is raising his hands up. He's saying he shot a person.
Well, as to who screamed right before that gunshot you heard, we're going to get back to that in a second because witnesses are very clear on that, but apparently the police are not. First of all, on George Zimmerman, he apparently has called the cops 46 times to report suspicious activity just since January 1st of 2011. It sounds like he's a suspicious one. And he apparently, according to the Miami Herald, was fixated on crime and focused on young black males, according to neighbors. And he had been the subject of complaints by neighbors in his gated community for aggressive tactics. And in 2005, he was charged with resisting arrest with violence and battery on an officer. Later, the charges were dropped. Now, his actions were obviously atrocious and led to the death of a young teenager. But I'm not sure the actions of the police were any better. Look at what they did here. First of all, they neglected to look up Zimmerman's record. They said he was squeaky clean when, in fact, as we just told you, he had been arrested for resisting arrest before. They did not test Zimmerman for drugs or alcohol, even though some experts say that he sounded intoxicated in the 911 tapes. They, quote-unquote, corrected a key witness. A key witness came out and said, I heard the teenager screaming, and the cop on the scene said, no, you didn't. What you heard was Zimmerman screaming, the guy who's 250 pounds. And then finally, 3 witnesses say they heard the last scream from Trayvon Martin, what you just heard on the 911 tapes. And the cops have not called some of them back. We showed you last week, a witness came out and said, I want to tell the story to the cops. They won't even call me back. This is so outrageous, and it is now finally catching national attention, which we're very happy about because hopefully it'll lead to a better answer. I want to have Turner Clayton join us now. He's the Seminole County NAACP president. This has been referred to the the Seminole County Attorney's Office, actually, this matter, because the cops haven't done anything so far on it. Turner, first, let me actually play you the White House response to this, because we, last week, actually called the FBI to get a response. So we're concerned it's a federal matter as well. But here's Jay Carney's response to this.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to Trayvon Martin's family, but obviously we're not going to wade into a local law enforcement matter.
How do you feel about that, Turner? Is that the right thing or the wrong thing to do on the federal level?
This man committed a crime, and he should have been arrested. And, of course, the community is outraged about it. And we felt that if the situation had been reversed, there would have been an arrest made that same night.
Yeah, because often black men shoot, you know, white men, or now his dad says he's multiracial, so he couldn't have been racist. Because if he's part Latino, let me just pause on that for a second. Turner, it's impossible for someone who's part Latino to be racist, right? According to George Zimmerman's dad's logic.
No, that's not impossible at all. This particular guy seemed to have a fixation toward black people, and of course, especially black youth. And apparently, based on the information that I've been hearing, he has a history of this.
Yeah, of course it's not. And look, you know, let me just go to the cops again here, because their actions are not only outrageous in this case, but apparently there's a history of this. Back in 2010, the police waited 7 weeks to arrest a lieutenant's son caught on video sucker punching a black homeless man. So that happened in 2010, and that, by the way, was the same officer that was in charge of the crime scene here. And then in 2005, 2 security guards, one the son of a Sanford police officer and the other a department volunteer, killed a black man they said was trying to run them over. And again, you know, what it appears to be inadequate investigations. Is this something that you deal with down there in Seminole County all the time with the Sanford police?
Yes, in fact, there's another case also that occurred this past October, and involving some friends of mine, where his son was actually shot and killed. The guy who actually did the shooting turned himself in to police. Police conducted an investigation, and they did such a shoddy investigation that now this guy's back on the streets.
Yeah, and you know, to your point on if we had a role reversal here, if a black man shot a white man, or whatever he happens to be, right? And he had 100 pounds on him, and he's the one that chased him down, and he's the one with the gun, and the white guy was the unarmed guy. Now, it's been over 3 weeks, and they haven't arrested Zimmerman. How long would it have taken for the black guy to get arrested?
He would have been arrested on the spot. No ifs and buts about it. They would have taken him into custody and took him in with a no bond.
And how often do they give you overwhelming benefit of the doubt on self-defense as they're giving to Zimmerman here, the police?
Well, now this particular case here is the first case since this chief has been in office that they are trying to use the self-defense case. But in the past, they just did shoddy investigation, and of course, if the person didn't get convicted, they wound up getting walking, and nothing happened to them.
Yeah, shocking that they made an exception here. One last thing, I want to go back to the Jay Carney idea of this being a federal investigation. We here at the Young Turks actually called the FBI early last week, and here was the response they gave us. We are aware of the matter, we've been in contact with local authorities, and are monitoring the matter. As for when a matter like this arises to a federal level, there must be a crime that occurred as a result of bias. That determination is made by us and not the locals. Actually, Turner, that part of that seems to be encouraging, that the FBI would at some point make a determination whether there was bias if there was a crime. Do you think this should be a federal case? Do you think the FBI should look at this to see if there was bias involved?
They definitely should look at it. As a matter of fact, the community feel that the FBI should actually take over the entire police department there.
All right, very clear on that. Turner Clayton, Seminole County NAACP president, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, absolutely. All right, now when we come back, well, more police abuse, not on this level, of course, but Occupy movement is back in New York, and the cops smashing their heads into the walls is also back.